Welcome to Beyond the Circus. This is Dale Hummel with co-star Ryan Rash.
Hello.
We have had a lot of requests, Ryan. Why did you fight me so hard from doing one of these sooner?
I haven't had any time. I judge shows, okay? This is the day that I had, okay? This was the day.
It's been a pretty big week or two. Or three.
You wouldn't even know. You ain't even been back in this country a week, you fool.
I did not have to be there. I was still getting information from people that don't even have television. Understand what's going on in our sad-ass political, corrupt country at the moment.
Anyway, so obviously Trump is going from the big house to the White House. So that's the title of this. Big house to the White House. Unless you live in a closet or under a rock, you know that Trump was convicted of 34 felony counts of mishandling business documents. I just want everybody to know that, first off, these were all misdemeanors, by the way, that the statute of limitations had run out on them. The previous district attorney in New York City looked at this and said no. The Department of Justice looked at this and said no. The federal elections court looked at all this and said, no, there's no case here. Alvin Bragg attaches a felony, what was it, to conceal a crime or something.
With
to
the intent
to conceal cover up a crime to these misdemeanor things so they can come back to life because the statute of limitations run out of them. And here we are with trial, 6 weeks, all this other stuff. I cannot tell you how corrupt this judge is. I cannot. I would be here for hours, but he literally, basically, he would have been better off just looking to the jury and saying, convict him. Like, that would have been less prejudicial than what he did.
It took him a lot longer to say that.
I know, but he would have, I think he would have looked better if he just looked at the jury and said, convict him. That is your job. Go back there and convict him. From the very beginning of this trial, every pundit on from the libtard ones to the Fox to the basement people, they all said that the jury instructions would define the verdict. He told this jury that they only had to be unanimous on the fact that a crime had been committed by falsifying these documents. They didn't have to be, he didn't care what crime, any crime. He listed 3. And they didn't all have to agree that it was the same crime. Just as long as they believed that he had done this to conceal a crime, he will take it as a unanimous verdict. And they did, and he's guilty. And sentencing is July 11th, which is 4 days before the Republican National Convention. I have heard every theory in the world that he will be on probation, he will be on house arrest, he will be in Rikers. You name it, I have heard it. I don't think anybody has a clue what the man will say. I also have heard all these theories that obviously Trump is appealing this decision, and they think even in New York that this will get not only appealed but overturned by the appellate court in New York. Like, even CNN and MSNBC say this is going to happen. Now, it will be years before it does, and it will be after the election, but normally when you are appealing said convention, you don't get sentenced. Can the judge sentence him still? I don't know. I have no idea. And I don't think any of these other people know either. I'm gonna be real honest.
There has to be clarification that if the appeal
if
the appeal is taken up, then there is clarification if the judge can or can't. I don't know what it is.
The appeal's going to be taken up before we get to July 11th. He only has 30 days to file it.
I agree, but that doesn't mean they need to act upon it before then. My guess is in New York, they will stall until after the sentencing to even give you a yes or no, we're going to take this, is my assumption. But I do not know what the statute is in terms of can the judge sentence if the appeal is if the process of appealing is going to take place. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm telling you, I have not heard one little freaking lawyer on any of these news channels that can give me an answer.
Yeah,
so
it's odd that I would think that would be one of the first questions I'm asking people.
Right. Here's the bottom line, people. For me, Dale's probably disagree, but this is the bottom line for me. This is the saddest, most destructive, and possibly life-altering thing that has ever happened in the history of our country. Because now we have made it to where we are literally a third world country, that we can use our system of laws to imprison, to convict, to not allow other people to run for office. And that was just absolutely unheard of until now. And I am telling you, you put it in your pipe and you smoke on it and choke on it, the Republicans are going to do this too. And they've said they're going to do it. They're not even hiding it.
That's taking us down a very bad path. And you're right. This is nothing different than what we're seeing in Russia or China. It's just the fact that this is the first time we've seen it.
Shit they do.
Yes.
Putin put somebody in jail that he thinks he might not beat him. Okay, you're getting locked up by
or takes him out, murders him, whatever.
Right. I mean, but this is where we're at. This is the path we're going down.
And how can the world
and the Republicans? I don't care what you say, Dale. The Republicans have said they're going to do it.
I'm not going to argue that. I am not, and it's a bad direction. How can the world, our populace, the left? Let's just target the left. The View. Your girls on The View.
I don't like them bitches fucking bit.
I think they are the most rotten humans outside of Fauci. They're one of the most rotten group of people there are. So how can people not see that this case would have never been brought against any other person on the planet? And if Trump wasn't running again, it wouldn't. There's so many glaring facts that this would not even come into play.
Well, and let's talk about the biggest one. The third highest person in Biden's Department of Justice quit his job to come try this case.
Exactly. How about when Biden's asked the question about Trump accusing him of being behind this? How did Biden respond?
He just smiled.
I mean, it was telling. So telling. That smirk that I would like to.
And the other thing, I think the current Speaker of the House is an insane person. I'm going to be real honest, because anybody that thinks that you can get gay conversion camps just don't work. Let's talk about this, okay? Put a whole bunch of gay guys together at a camp together, and we're going to make them be straight. But no.
How did we get onto this topic?
Because that man literally lobbied for gay conversion camps. Your speaker.
30 years ago or something?
It does not matter. He's nuts. But he came out and he has said, and made no bones about it, that the Democrats will not get anything whatsoever at all passed from this point on until after the election. Nothing. They're not doing it. They're done. It's over. Put a fork in it.
He's mad. He's very angry, is what you're saying?
Yes. And they're all united behind him.
I'm okay with being very angry.
I mean, he's this little crazy.
So what other response should we have? I don't know. I don't know the correct path.
Well, I think the most intriguing thing is there was this thousands and thousands of people in London came out to support Trump after the verdict, because they look to America as this shining beacon on the hill that this shit doesn't happen, and they know how bad it is. And there's thousands of people in London, England, out supporting Trump for no reason. I mean, Ryan, they know that it's this affects the world.
Exactly. This is crippling, not just to the United States. This is crippling to democracy across the world. Ryan, I'm in Namibia with Chase, obviously, for a couple of weeks. You covered our butt here with Beyond the Ring, doing the podcast solo, and I appreciate that. I am out we did our self tour and drove everywhere ourselves, but we did take a night safari because we didn't have the permits to do so. So we hired a guide to take us out.
Because the animals sleep at night, right?
Yeah, spotlight. I loved it, by the way. But here's this gentleman, Ryan. When we pull off the dirt road to go back to this lodge that we're staying at, that this safari guide was at, we're 15 kilometers down a creek bed, basically dirt path, cattle trail, off the main dirt road onto a side road, driving through the bush just to get to this is as far into the middle of nowhere as you can possibly be. And he's calling without my comments about anything, asking me about Slow Joe, discussing things about the Trump trial. There are people outside of our country that are genuinely concerned that if this goes the wrong direction, like it has, the weaponization of our justice system, that it's going to have long-reaching impacts beyond the United States, just like what you're talking about in London. This is a bad, bad direction. And those that are in power right now in the White House, and again, I'm like Trump, I don't believe Joe knows even what's going on, but whoever's pulling the strings, this has gone beyond what I can put into words in terms of how reaching it is. And Ryan, explain to me how we can be so partisan. And I am going to be the self-admitted partisan person here, that I am as far right as anybody I know, period. Just black and white for me, very simple. This is the difference. This is where I'm at. But if I just stop and take a logical, intelligent approach to this, how can those on the left, we talk about The View and those girls there, the people that are on the far left in our country, how can they not see the damage this is going to do? Are they so enraged and anti-Trump they don't care what it is? They block it all out just because of their anger for him?
Not The View, bitches, but I think a much larger portion of even the far left people do see that.
I hope they see.
I've heard them on TV. I've seen, not just paid pundits or, broadcasters, but they've interviewed people. I do think they have way more concern about it than what I ever thought they would. The other thing, and who knows? I'm telling you, I don't think you can predict who's going to win this election. I don't even know if we can even predict who's going to be running for president right now. Trump has made it very clear he's still running, by the way. This right now is Monday morning or Monday noon in Indianapolis. This verdict was handed down at like 6 o'clock on Thursday. So we've had the weekend. $200 million. $200 million. That is what the Trump campaign has raised since the verdict. $200 million.
Okay, so what does that tell you in a practical sense?
Well, I think the more interesting statistic of the 200 million, 70 million of that 200 million are what they consider to be classified as small payment donation. I don't know what the technical term is, but you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know what that limit is. I don't know if it's
and an unusual percentage of first-time donors.
Well, and okay, of the 70 million, of the 200 million, 70 million of it is small donations. 30% of all of it are first-time donors.
And that is huge.
I mean, there are
Absolutely
Democrat
huge.
Businesses that have given him money because they know this is tragic and it's going to affect the entire country. And I keep saying on these Beyond the Circuses, and I know we don't have a lot of them, but like there has been no country in the world last as long as this one has, and whether you want to admit it or not, and I probably shouldn't even say it, this country will not last forever. It will not. It just look in the history.
History tells us it doesn't.
Yes,
it does not happen.
It is not.
We can live in the moment and believe that we're in a perfect society and it will. It won't.
But it is not going to happen. And so we have all these things. We had January 6th. We have, all this stuff. And we're like right there on the edge of the cliff. And what is going to be the catalyst that knocks us over and we erupt into civil war? And I mean, again, I don't know if it's going to be the same kind of civil war like we had before with the North and the South and whatever, but like there's going to be, and I don't know what weapons or what tactics are used, but it is going to happen. So is it, because the one thing that I am at least proud of is there was not, I mean, there have been lots of protests, but there was no violence in the protest, I guess, that since Trump's conviction. So that is thankful for, but
unlike the violence we see on the other side, generally speaking. And nobody seems to be pointing this out.
If Juan Marchand, judgy crazy man, does say, okay, you're going to jail right now, is that the catalyst that sets it off?
I don't know, but
I don't know either. Is it, because I'm telling you right now, because all of the polling up until this point has showed that Trump has a sizable lead in the national polls, but more importantly, he has a sizable lead in at least 6 of the 7 swing states. So before this, the only thing that you can assume is he was going to be the 47th president. I'm not saying he still won't be, but if he is not, half of the country is going to blame this for the reason he was not elected. So this will, of course, when he beat Hillary, that was a way crazy, way contested election. Obviously, this last one, I mean, there has come evidence now, evidence that there was voter fraud in Georgia. I mean, it is out there. So that was a hotly contested election, and so now this, let's say it's close, and it will be, and he loses, half the country is going to blame this right here. And they have every right to. So if we make it past, if he goes to jail, and I truly do not, the only reason I don't think this idiot judge is going to sentence this man to jail is because the Democrats are scared to death that will just help things.
I think they're going to look at what's going on already has gone on since the conviction and where things are as we get closer to sentencing. And I think we talk about what he's going to do. I don't think he knows. And I think that's going to change according to what's going to benefit the Democrats.
Oh, he's going to be told what to do.
Yes.
I mean, there's no doubt.
And they don't know right now because they don't know how it's going to play out.
Right. But all this other stuff with this lawfare and all this other shit has backfired on him, and his polling numbers will go up. And again, $200 million, all this other stuff. So I agree with you. He don't know. He'll be told what to do, but I don't think they're going to put him in jail. But if he doesn't win, half of this country, and probably more than half the country, will blame this incident, this worst carriage of misjustice that has ever happened in the history of the United States.
Basically, the weaponization of the judicial system.
Right, the weaponization, yeah. And
not
all
this
that
trial specifically.
And why I say it's probably more than half is because you and I both know that on both sides, there are going to be a lot of people in every presidential election, and especially this one, that if they did vote, they would vote for Trump, but they just didn't vote. And there's Democrats saying that they would vote for Biden, but they just didn't know. So that's why I'm saying I think it's probably over half the country that will think this is fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
And so is that going to be a bit?
So I think that leads us into two things that I want to address. It's kind of going backwards just a little bit. Okay, let's strip this down. The legalization of the justice system, but what they're trying to hang the convictions on is that a bookkeeper put down under the legal fee column the money that was paid to in this case, Stormy Daniels, as a legal expense. Should it have been in some other category? I don't know. Probably. Was Trump aware of which category? I don't know. I don't know any of those things. And you know what? Under any other circumstance, this isn't even looked at, let alone turned into 34 felonies, as you talked about earlier. So I don't know if Trump was aware. I don't know if it was intentionally put in the wrong category. I don't know any of those things. But what I do know that if anybody else would have done it, it's not a factor. It's not coming. There's nothing going to be done about it, period.
Yeah.
And secondly, so that I'm forming no opinion that I don't think you can prove either way, even though
anybody else, this doesn't even come to trial,
yes.
or whatever. It's only Trump.
And you really can't. You can't prove beyond reasonable doubt that
that is it right there. There was not one shred of evidence, not one shred of evidence that proved he knew. The only person that said he knew was Michael Cohen, but he had no phone call, no text message, no nothing to back up that fact. That is just basically saying, I'm telling you he knew.
Yeah.
This man is a convicted perjurer, liar, been in jail, felon, whatever, all these other things. And I mean, and all the other testimony, even testimony for the prosecution, like, no, I don't know if he knew. I'm sorry.
And I don't think you can prove beyond reasonable doubt that he knew or didn't know. Either one.
Yes.
You can't do either.
He may have known, but there was no proof beyond a reasonable doubt he knew, and yet they still convicted the man.
Nope. You could not go either way with it beyond reasonable doubt. Period.
And it's just absolutely. And they still convicted the man, and here we are. And I do not want to sound alarm. I don't want to do any of these things, but I am telling you, it is my firm belief that this move right here is the thing that in history we will point back to that was the fall of the United States of America.
The catalyst of the downward spiral.
Yes.
I hope you're wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope you're wrong. And we can overcome it.
I'm right.
There's only one way to overcome it.
I'm right.
No, we're gonna stay more positive than that.
I don't think so.
Trump's going to be elected. He's going to clean house. We're going to go on a different path. It's going to get better. Okay, the second thing.
I got to bring. So let's best case scenario, he gets elected. So he did an interview this weekend, like 30 something minutes. I haven't got to watch it on Fox with the three little weekend people, the two hot guys and that Latina lady.
Quit. Just stop.
So they asked him about this, like, what will he do if he's elected with the DOJ and all this other stuff? I thought the most interesting little highlight, he said, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know yet. He said, I don't think I can answer that question because I do not know. And he brought up the fact that if you remember in 2016, the chant was lock her up, lock her up, lock her up, talking about Hillary. And he could have used the Department of Justice to go after her after he became president, and he didn't. And he brings that up.
And he could have.
Yeah. Oh, no, he very, very easily could have. And he said, but I'm telling you, I do not know. I do not know how I will handle this situation now. And I thought, I was like, you want to talk about just honesty? There it is. I mean, just I'm like, wow. But best case scenario, he wins. Let's say he doesn't try to go put every Democrat in jail and all this other stuff. There are going to be times where both political parties do this to people that are running for office that he has no control of, even if he's president. It is going to happen. It is going to happen. The one thing I see, two very positive things if you're a Trump supporter from this conviction. Number one, it has united the Republican people that are in office. The elected Republicans like no other thing ever has. I mean, it took us, 17,000 votes to get a Speaker of the House last time or whatever, because the Republicans
it's gone from one extreme to the other.
Be together. These people are in lockstep now.
So, Ryan, don't you see that happening in the base as well? The people out there?
Yeah, but he had them.
I think it's gone deeper. That's the practical ramifications is you're going to get that person that maybe a Trump supporter in mindset, but maybe for some reason just didn't take the time to go vote. There is not going to be anyone that feels even remotely like that this was an injustice and they support Trump, that this time there's no excuse. They're going to find a way to vote. It's going to stir that base like no other. And I think that is enough. I'm praying that is enough to take the election, because to me, you said it so many times. We know what we're getting with Trump. We know what we're getting with Joe. We've seen it. We can compare it. Those lines aren't changing much. What can determine the outcome, I don't even think the trial itself is changing, I think, either direction in terms of who they're going to vote for. I don't know this, but I don't believe it's a huge number swinging back and forth. But I'm being very optimistic that it is going to stimulate that base like no other. To the point, not that Trump doesn't already do that, but it's going to take it to another level. That is my hope of the practical.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm telling you, I think it is more important that all the elected Republican officials are literally united on the cause now, and we're mad as hell, and we ain't fucking taking it no more. Because the reason that the Democrats win elections and get shit passed is because it does not matter. They don't care. It could be a bill sent from Satan himself, but if the Democrats everybody's going to vote for it. Republicans don't do that. I have said this a million times. Republicans don't just stick together. They're going to here. And so I think that is one of the very, very, very positive things. I think the other, and probably more important, very, very positive thing is, I do think since he has been convicted, there is going to be less of a push to replace Joe.
Yes. How's that? Yes.
I think that they're going to be like, okay, now we got a little breathing room. Grandpa can call him a convicted felon for the next 5 months. We're going to be okay.
I think that's the last ditch effort that Joe stays on the ticket.
Yeah,
I do not think it works. And I think by convention time, I think again, I am still under the belief that this isn't going to be enough that they won't oust him somehow.
See, I think he stays now.
I hope he stays. This pushes that direction hard.
And the reason I say that, Dale, is, okay, we're already in turmoil. We're already... our core has been rocked because of this, all this other stuff. So now, I don't think the Democrats are going to say, okay, well, what we're going to do now is the person that we said was going to be the president and has been the president, we're going to replace him with somebody that we like better.
They're going to do it with the excuse that he has a health issue or it's not a choice. It has to be done. And I'm giving them too much credit here. What if?
Yeah, I think you are. Because
what if they come out and the independents believe that this was weaponization of the judicial system and Joe's behind it? So let's get him out of there, and all of a sudden they can change their vote back to a Democrat rather than not voting. There's so many reasons that put this in there. Blame Joe for the border, blame Joe for the weaponization of this, blame him for all of these things. Yet we're bringing somebody in fresh that's not that way. And here it's a motivation for the Democrats to actually come out and vote for those that would have sat home because they're not in love with Joe. They weren't going to vote for Trump, but they weren't going to get out there. Replace him with your boyfriend from California. And even though he's run that state in the ground and made it worse than it's ever been, his charisma, his ability to speak, and that he's coming in not having weaponized the judicial system, not destroyed the border, not all of these things, they're going to come out and vote for him. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm overthinking this. I hope they're not that intelligent to actually say, Joe,
see, I think you're not giving Gavin enough credit, because I think that Gavin is the one telling them, I'm not doing it this time. I'm not going to go about it this way.
Could be.
I'm going to wait.
He wants it the next time.
Right. I think that is the thing. I don't think it is. I think they were like, please save us. Yeah. And he's like, no, I'm not going to take it this way.
What I don't like about Gavin, and that's our California governor, I do not like any of his policy. Just stop. That is not relevant at all. I am fearful. I don't like anything he does. I think he's slimy. I think he's corrupt. I think he's going the completely wrong direction. But one thing I can't deny is that he is intelligent, and he uses that intelligence in the wrong direction. Charisma, ability to speak, he has all of those things. So he frightens me. If he were to get the highest office in the country, he's intelligent enough that he could do a lot of damage or take us in a direction that you and I would not approve of.
Oh, and I do. You can just look at what he has done to the state of California and how many Californians have literally fled that state under his leadership, and all the tragics that, like, I mean, he almost got recalled.
Yes, and look at now, and now he's the next one maybe in line for their leading candidate for president.
There are Democrats in California that think Gavin Newsom has done a terrible job. I mean, a large portion of them. And so, yeah, no, I agree, but I do think that he is crazy intelligent for a multitude of reasons, but I think it has been him saying, I am not going to do it this way. I am going to wait. I am going to finish out my term, and the next election cycle, I am going to be your guy. I think it's him. I don't think
highly possible. Highly possible. But he is the only one I can think of, and I'm sure there's others out there that I think would be a success. And I don't even like saying that. But I think it would work.
But I think that's my two positive takeaways from this. And obviously the money is nice, but the $200 million is nice. But I don't think this election is about money, unless they do remove Joe and put somebody else in there that not the whole world. I mean, I think a lot of people know Gavin Newsom's the governor of California, but that's it. And
if you ask the populace to tell you who they couldn't give you a name,
right?
And I mean, we're talking 20% or less. And so they don't know him.
Your governor, I don't even think, and he's been one that's throwing his name around as a presidential hopeful, all this other Pritzker, whatever. I don't think 90% of the country knows who's that fat man is.
Oh, God, no.
And so unless they take Joe out and put somebody else in, I do not think this election is about money and campaign ads and all this other stuff. I hope that they take this $200 million and use it to form the most incredibly strong, well-organized ground campaign to turn out the vote in the history of the Republican Party.
You have never been more correct in anything you've ever said. And if they do that, it will work.
I hope they do.
It will. You're right. Everybody's formed their opinions on both the candidates, period.
Right. Everybody's got their opinion on Trump and Biden. There is no fucking ad that is going to change anybody's mind.
It is all about get out the vote unless they substitute Joe out. And I don't think they're just going to say, oh, we're going to replace Joe. It has to be a situation or presented in a manner that he has a health issue of some sort that he can't do it. That way they have the excuse. They can't just, I don't want people to think they can just pull him out and say, hey, we're not running with Joe. We're going to run with, no, they can't get away with that. But they can force him, blackmail him, whatever they need to do to make him come out, hey, I have such and such. This just isn't going to probably work. And then you've got your wonderful little girlfriend below him that people would say, well, then she automatically steps in. She's not even on the radar. She's nowhere. She's gone. You notice we haven't even mentioned her today.
No, and I don't think, I'll be honest, even if Joe, let's say Joe, by some miracles, gets elected again or whatever, and she's the vice president for another 4 years. I don't even know.
He's not going to live for another 4 years.
Okay, would you let me finish? I said,
please.
This scenario, if he lives, if he gets elected, she's vice president. I don't even know if that woman runs for president, because I think she knows she's that much disliked.
I don't think she knows. I think she's that
she can't
ignorant.
Read.
I'm just telling you.
Worse than his.
I'm just telling you. I think that lady is so disconnected. She has no idea. If she knew, would she not do things differently?
We're talking about how crazy the people are that are telling Joe what to do. Whoever Camel Toe's handlers are,
I don't know that she has one.
The dumbest, most tone deaf bunch of idiots in the world, because they have done nothing. I mean, they take all these polls, they say all these things, whatever, all this stuff. Why people don't like her? What she hasn't ever been to the border. She's the border czar. All this other stuff, and they have done nothing to try to correct any of her image problems. Nothing.
I think they tried to keep her out of the public eye.
Well, they're not doing a real good job of that here lately.
Until he needs the black vote, then he'll drag her along and try to pander. It is sickening. It really is sickening. I don't care. Black, brown, red, purple, gay. I could give a shit less what that is. Why would we not appeal to people? Just here is a good idea. I don't care what color it is. If you're willing to wake up every day and put out effort to make a good living, you should have that path. You should be allowed to do that. Let's put things in place that those that want to work and want to succeed can. If you choose not to, irregardless of what color you are, have at it. I just don't want to pay your bills.
I think you just touched on something there in terms of the black vote. So everything that now, after the conviction has been out, there's been nothing but that. But during the trial, up until that, the latest deal was that Trump is polling about 22% of the black vote.
Which doesn't sound like much, but that's huge compared to where it was.
Right, because it was like 5.
Yeah,
I think. And
like they can't overcome that if those polls
right. That's what everyone, even the Democrat libtards, said. If this holds, we do not win. We get slaughtered. Like
yes.
it is.
They're very open about that.
Right. It is not even a contest. And I know people are going to be like, well, how does 22% affect? It is. It is.
It does, because it's that big a difference from where it was 4 years ago.
And again,
historically, even not just 4 years ago.
Oh yeah. This stupid ass Pride Month or whatever. I have seen 2 different Trump Pride flag things, whatever. And I mean, I am glad that there are others out there other than me. I hope they didn't get bodily harmed or shot when they displayed these flags or whatever. But you're not going to get any of the gay vote, really. But the fact that I have never even knew that there was a Trump Pride flag ever. And the fact that I've seen 2 of them in the 3 days or 4 days or 3 days of Pride Month that's been so far, I'm like, holy shit. And so I think there is maybe a little bit of that. I have said this, I'm going to say it again, and I don't think you believe it as much as I do. I think the most crucial decision he makes, and it very well may determine if Trump wins, is who he selects as VP. And I know that doesn't make any sense, but I'm telling you that is just my feeling.
I am a little bit nervous about that.
That is just I'm telling you that. And I don't, and I hate saying this, because Biden, before he picked Camel Toe, he said his vice president selection was going to be a woman of color. His first Supreme Court
he did not say, I'm going to find the most qualified person.
Right. He didn't say nothing about qualified. It's going to be a woman of color.
Yes. Bullshit.
My first
Total
Supreme
crap.
Court justice nominee is going to be a woman of color. It is nothing about qualifications, nothing about that. The female color. That's it. And so I think that I hate that line of thought. I think it is repulsive. I think it is innately stupid. All the things
I even go immoral with it.
I mean, yes, you can go that far. And like I talk about on the regular podcast, I've touched on it before. We have this push right now in the stock show industry to get more women judges out there. You know what? I'm not against that, but I'm also, I don't think that should be something. I don't think that should be a thing. I think that whatever it is, if we're picking a vice presidential candidate or a livestock judge, whether they're black, white, brown, gay, straight, whatever, just pick the best person. Like, how is that such a hard concept? But I'm going to say he can't pick a white man. He can't.
He may.
He can't.
He may.
He can't do it. He can't.
And I am with you. I don't want to play the political bullshit.
I don't either.
But
rail against it. But
we can't.
He can't pick a white man.
We can't take the chance of not getting elected. So it's a catch. It's bad.
I think it truly needs to be a woman, but I don't know if he has that in him. And I'm also going to be honest. I don't think there is a great woman candidate. I don't for the vice president. I do not. And sorry, ladies. I'm not. I'm not against y'all. I just don't. And I'm not saying that there isn't one, but there isn't one that is high profile enough. Whatever. Unless he does Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and that would be a great choice, in my opinion. I've heard a little bit about that now.
Do you know what she could do on the stage debating in her grasp?
Well, and I talked to you about this, Dale, the vice presidential debate. If he picks a man, I don't care what color the man is. If he picks a man, he cannot go after camel toe the way a woman can. A woman can rip that bitch from stem to stern on the vice presidential debate. A man cannot do it because he will be looked at as a bully.
I agree.
And that is sexist and misogynistic and wrong, but it is facts.
Do you realize that our listeners right now, I doubt that other than you or I mentioning it, they've not heard Sarah's name come up anywhere. Would you agree with that? Has it been in the pundits yet at all?
I sent you something last week, I think. That was the first, because I commented, I said, this is the first time I've seen this. And
I think it would be a brilliant choice. Brilliant.
That's the only one.
If he pulls that one out of the hat, oh my God.
Kristi Noem, as good a governor as she is, she's too pretty and women won't like her. I mean, there's, I think Tulsi Gabbard would get a lot of independents, but then you're going to have Republicans pissed off that he picked an independent.
The more I listen to
her, a former Democrat.
I can maybe see that, but no, it won't work. It just
Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Daddy was governor of Arkansas. She's governor of Arkansas. Was his press secretary. That is the only woman option he has. And also, like, let's just put it out there. And she's not unattractive, but she is also not attractive. If he is standing on a stage with Kristi Noem, there is no way that there ain't a bunch of women and men thinking he's trying to fuck her. Now, that's just all there is to it.
It's not a good image.
I'm just telling you that is going to go through. So her, safe that way. If he doesn't pick her, again.
And we should not select things this way, Ryan. We should not.
No, I know. If he does, he got to pick a black man. He's got to. He can't pick a white man. He can't. Or Rubio. He's
no.
What is Rubio? Puerto Rican?
I don't know, but that doesn't work.
But, so I don't know. Trump, if y'all have anybody listening, just be smart about this, because I do think this is going to be something that is really, 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 really.
So why do you think Sarah has not even been mentioned? We're missing something here. Either she is not on the radar at all, or he's already decided.
She is now, because I sent that to you. That deal on Twitter. It was out there last week, but that's the first time I heard it. I don't know.
He obviously approves of her as press secretary.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, her father has supported him like no other.
Oh, it's every other Fox.
There's a lot of
every other Fox commercial is Chris. Her.
And do you realize how that affects Trump? He likes loyalists.
Oh yeah, and well, anyway, like I know that most 90% of the listeners probably don't watch Fox News as much as I do. But anyway, so every other commercial is Mr. former Arkansas governor promoting a Trump book about this or this,
Let's
children's
teach
book,
children
whatever.
about
Yeah,
democracy.
all this other stuff. I mean, most of the same. The other commercial is the My Host commercial. Have you seen that? It's really
The what?
The My Host commercial.
No.
Oh,
I don't even know what you're talking about.
okay. So it's a water hose, but anyway,
Okay.
and I just probably have a terribly dirty mind, but all the things that he keeps talking about that him and his My Hose can do.
Why are we on this topic?
I'm telling you, you need to watch the commercial. It is crazy. But next,
No. Yeah. So
you're gonna see this commercial and you're gonna call me.
I'm not. I'm not.
You are.
No. Balance of nature, fruits and veggies. That's what I see. I've not taken any, but that's what I see. So I have some other current events. Do you have some other current events?
Sure. Go ahead. What do you want to talk about?
And once again,
I'm choked up over My Hose.
I brought up that Safari guide and his name for Biden. People, I always wonder this. So when I travel abroad, I will ask questions once I feel like I'm in a position that I can. And it shocks me every single time that they seem to be as in tune to what's going on. And the ones I talk to see through the bullshit. The rest of the world is watching, and we're not being looked at favorable by any means in terms of our system and what's going on. This weaponization is they're concerned because if the U.S. can go down that path, every other democracy out there can as well, and that's a problem. So with that, let's bump off the Trump trial. What is the stunt that your buddy Sleepy Slow Joe, is trying to pull today as we speak?
Today?
Executive order?
Oh, yeah. I was like, there's a lot going on in Joe's life today. Hunter's jury trials going on today, whatever. So
we haven't even gone down that path yet, but we can.
Oh, no. I don't want to talk about Hunter anymore. But yes,
Do you think
right.
maybe the timing on the Trump trial and we just better not.
I'd be on here too long, but yes, tell him about his executive order.
So what we have going on in here, not that long ago, they tried to pass some legislation. Joe tried to push legislation through that would increase money for the border. A lot of that money would have been allocated to the processing of asylum seekers, which that just means we open the floodgate more because we can process more quickly. And I'm gonna go a lot of directions with this. I visit with people in the South that don't live that far from the border, and they will run into people that are coming across the border on a regular basis. And that used to be sometimes they'd stop in and ask, "Hey, do you have any work? Can I get a job?" When approached, most of the people crossing the border now, they don't want a job, Ryan, because we're going to send them wherever they want to go. We're going to give them a Visa credit card. We're going to give them a phone. We're going to give them a monthly living allowance. They don't have to take whatever job. And that's a sad state. So back to the fact that Joe is trying to put out the image that he is going to be tough on the border that Trump broke. Trump's border policies were all bad. Everything was terrible. Now he's going to fix it. Even though he rescinded and overturned those Trump executive orders that had the border somewhat in check, better than we've had in a long while. And now he's stepping up because the Republicans wouldn't pass the legislation that gave him more dollars to process more people more quickly. Even though on the surface you could say, oh, the Dems are trying to pass a border patrol. They're trying to get tough on the border. No, it was the opposite. They were trying to get more money to the border to process more people through the border more quickly. So now, and I haven't heard it, it's breaking as we started recording. I don't know if he signed it or is about to sign an executive order that is going to stiffen the border up from people being able to claim political asylum with an executive order. And I'm not an attorney. I do not understand this as well as I should to probably speak on it. But if he does that, he has to tie something to it. There has to be a reason or to be able to use that executive order or make it legal. I don't know what he's going to tie to that, but he's coming out and pretending to be tougher on the border. I have no idea, and I can't wait to finish recording and call some of my friends down at the Border Patrol to find out the practical implications of what this executive order will do. I hope it shuts down the border completely. Even if it does, people are going to come across because we have nobody on the border to watch what's going on. And I can tell you from personal experience, there is no stopping them right now with all the people that are busy processing the asylum seekers. There's no one on the border to stop anything. Take those people back out of the processing area, get them back on the border. Yeah, we can slow it down. We can get it back in check. The other problem is a lot of the good people that understand it are so frustrated as Border Patrol. All of them that I know took that early path to retirement or got out of the system because they just can't handle it. So even if we have something in place that in theory reads well, I don't know that we have the people that can implement it at this point. I hope I'm wrong. So he's pandering to whatever voter he can to say, okay, he's getting tough on the border because clearly, even on the left, the border situation is not popular. And it just smells so bad to me, all the bullshit. If you think for 1 minute that this action is anything other than trying to gain that vote when he completely turned it upside down, you're insane.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think this is going to cause him just as many problems as it
You think it'll piss off the extreme left
because
like the whole Israel thing.
Well, and see, so there's compounding problems. The extreme left is already still up in arms over Palestine, Israel, Gaza, and now we're doing this. Yeah, he's got compounding problems.
It may not gain enough of doing it. It may hurt him more than it helps him. You're right.
That's what I'm saying. I think this could backfire, but I agree with you. The reason why he's doing this 5 months before the election, yeah, I get it. But I don't know. But Lord, I will take any type of relief on the border issue right now. I'm going to be real honest. I don't know if it's going to work, if they're actually going to enforce it, or this is him just signing something to say he's doing something. But we will obviously find out and know. Crazy. And since we're going long here, don't you have some? We can end with your boyfriend that's in jail, also a convicted felon.
Restate that. I can't even respond to that.
Your boyfriend.
Okay, Joe Exotic sent me an email. For those of you that listened to our Beyond the Circus Joe Exotic episode, I think it was entertaining. I don't know it was very useful from an educational standpoint, but it was entertaining. So Joe has a take on this whole Trump trial. He is basically stating that, wow, the legal system is broken. Obviously, he was railroaded into prison, just as what is happening to Trump. And he's hoping that this is a wake-up call for President Trump to revamp the entire system. I don't know that the entire system needs revamped. I don't think it's perfect by any means. But the system that we have right now with the weaponization is crap. I don't know that Trump can fix it. But Joe is extending an invitation to sit down and visit with Mr. Trump and explain obviously what happened to him, what's happening to all the others. And Joe is probably, I'm going to say the tone of this email, he's a little bit cranky that he can get railroaded. Hundreds of others can get railroaded. And Trump is, but at least he's getting some attention. But Joe has not given up. You know how long he's been in prison?
No.
6 years he talks about being in this shithole. So anything we can do, you or I, to help his case, he would greatly appreciate. He is hopeful that this opens the eyes and maybe something. I don't even know what his sentence is. Is he in prison for? I have no idea. But Joe is watching. So even in prison, Joe is watching. The one thing that we didn't bring up, and Joe reminds me of this, do you realize what the campaign slogan is going to be for Slow Sleepy Joe? That basically we had his opponent would not be allowed to vote for president, but he's running for president. Yeah, you think they'll beat that to death?
I don't think they'll beat that aspect of it. I just think they will refer to him as convicted felon every time from now on.
So a convicted felon cannot vote. a convicted felon can run for president. I think they're going to.
He's going to be able to vote because it's going to be appealed. And during the appeal process, now that has been on the TV.
So we didn't talk about can they not expedite to the Supreme Court? There is no precedent for this case.
Now, the one crazy man on Fox, the Truth, Love, and Levine or whatever.
The streamer.
That man, he says...
I appreciate his facts, but I just can't listen to him.
I think that he's as nuts as you are. But anyway, he has come up with a way that he believes gets it to the Supreme Court.
And I believe he has a good legal mind. I do believe that.
I don't even see anybody else jumping on his bandwagon, but he thinks that, and it's over the Gore and the Chads and the whatever, all the Florida Bush Gore Chad, whatever nonsense. He thinks that's how it gets.
That's
there.
Precedent, and he can use it.
Yes.
And that's there's some logic to that. I believe. There's one more thing that it was brought to my attention. So I was running just a little bit behind today, and there were some things I wanted to talk about on Beyond the Circus that I hadn't researched. So I called upon Chase a little bit to do a little digging for me. Do you realize that Mexico has just elected a new president?
No.
The only thing I can tell you about it, female. The past president, obviously intense corruption. Basically, she is the insider of the insiders that has grown up with all the corruption around her and embraced all of it. And as far to the left as there is. So our cooperation on the border in anything that you or I think about in terms of good policy is not going to be fixed because of our new president in Mexico. Chase's summary is it's going the wrong direction. Corruption further left. Not that we're already left and corrupt in office, but it continues down the same path, if not worse.
There you go.
So don't be moving to Mexico anytime soon, Ryan.
I'm not a Mexico fan. I'm just going to be real honest. I don't even like going down there for vacation, really. But so I don't think you have to worry about me. If I move somewhere, I'm like, I don't know where. But
where would you go?
I don't know.
You know where you should try? Like, what isn't like Saudi Arabia or one of those Middle East countries that
no, because they kill gays.
So you've got to take those off the list. I don't know what it was in Namibia, but there's probably some. I don't know.
I don't think there's enough white.
There is a section in Namibia. So Chase and I went out in the middle that where you wouldn't just don't even see people. But then when we did towards the end get to the coast, it's amazing. There's a high end populace, primarily white, on the coast that is living in extreme.
I'm just saying, I don't think there's a whole lot of gay people over there.
I don't know. I can't say that I saw it.
I don't think so. But I mean,
but you're not gay either,
Dale. I'm not going to go into this. Okay,
that's a whole Beyond the Circus episode.
Yeah, we're not going into this.
We probably need to do some DNA work. We probably need to have. Yeah, we need to go deep.
Yeah. Okay. Next time. So
well, I'm pretty good. Hopefully that we have had a lot of requests for Beyond the Circus. I hope this covers some of the things that they wanted us to address. Is there any other information you think is relevant at the moment?
No, I'm good.
Dr. Fauci.
No, we're not going into that. We did that for the regular thing. I'm not talking about that fucking man again. No. You got to get past your obsession with Dr. Fauci.
Are you aware? And China. Are you aware that Clifton and I don't agree on Dr. Fauci? Did you know?
Yes, I've listened to it all. I listened to all of it.
Yeah, we are at opposite ends of the spectrum on Dr. Fauci. He is in a hearing today that I don't think anything will come of it, but I would like to see some form of punishment.
We are very well aware you want him tortured, killed.
I did not.
Shot in the kneecap.
You cannot say those things. You can't say that. I don't even think it's. I don't know if it's legal.
You want pain inflicted upon the man's body.
I think some form of punishment should be applied. Not necessarily saying what kind, but he's not. I'm not a fan.
No, we get it.
Well, thank you, Ryan. Until the next Beyond the Circus, be safe.
Y'all come back now, you hear?